Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Belle again. So today, we're going to talk about Mitch McConnell launching a preemptive strike on Trump's foreign policy, what happened, and what his probable plan is. Mitch McConnell isn't waiting for Trump to take office to begin building opposition to Trump's isolationist foreign policy promises, tendencies, and ideas. He's trying to muster allies and gather friends already. He's trying to limit the support Trump can pull together and explain exactly how much damage can come from an isolationist policy from the United States. Not just to the world, but to the United States. Like all effective surprise attacks, it came out of nowhere in the middle of the night. Now, to y'all, it won't seem to have come out of nowhere, because we've talked about all of the signs, signals, and statements that said this was coming. But to those who weren't paying incredibly close attention, this will be a surprise. Senator Mitch McConnell wrote a short little essay for Foreign Affairs. It's an outlet that covers, as you might imagine, foreign affairs. It isn't widely read outside of those circles, but I feel like this will be news today. The title of the essay is The Price of American Retreat, and it's done in true McConnell style, where he names Democrats but uses less identifying terms for Republicans. Phrases like many in Washington. Those many are Republicans. He just won't identify them. This essay is a broadside against Republicans who want to withdraw from the world stage. It starts off by listing adversarial nations. It's the normal list of countries opposed to American interests: China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea. Then he attacks Biden's strategy of what McConnell calls engagement and accommodation, of course, naming him in the process. Then he opens up with his strike on Republicans, without naming them, when he writes, quote, "Many in Washington acknowledge the threat, but use it to justify existing domestic policy priorities that have little to do with the systemic competition underway. They pay lip service to the reality of great power competition, but shirk from investing in the hard power on which such competition is actually based. The cost of these mistaken assumptions have become evident, but the response to 4 years of weakness must not be 4 years of isolation." Now, it's worth noting that it was actually Republicans in the House that have been stopping hard power investments for places like Ukraine. Hard power investments is McConnell's chosen buzzword for weapons production and weapons production capability. And I think most in the foreign policy world would conclude that arming Ukraine is strength, and that trying to convince them to cede territory to one of the nations McConnell listed as adversarial is weakness. But McConnell just can't bring himself to talk bad about Republicans in public. The 11th commandment and all of that. He goes on to say that even though policymakers recognize the global competition underway, that, quote, "Trump will no doubt hear from some that he should prioritize a single theater and downgrade U.S. interests and commitments elsewhere." Again, the some he's talking about are Republicans. He goes on to blast isolationist conservatives. He actually called them that this time, for reducing support for Ukraine and indulging in what he calls the fantasy of Fortress America. He closes by talking about the importance of alliances. He's talking about NATO. And he says that if the U.S. continues to retreat, its enemies will be only too happy to fill the void. So, what does all of this mean? It means that McConnell sees the near-peer contest for what it is. He's worried that the adversarial nations he listed will form the basis of a new Warsaw Pact. He thinks the U.S. will lose this time if current rhetoric becomes policy. It means he doesn't think Trump is actually leading in this regard and will be swayed away from what McConnell calls American primacy. Yeah, it seems like McConnell is worried Trump won't actually put America first. This is going to be a contentious issue in the new Congress. McConnell is going all in on this one. Either Trump folds or they have to face down McConnell. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.